Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning into her notebook. Today, I have the privilege of interviewing a remarkable woman, a 93-year-old mother, grandmother, and nuclear physicist originally from South America. Her story is one of courage, discovery, and love, a journey that spans continents, generations, and decades of scientific and personal milestones. I invite you to listen all the way to the end because there's a very special revelation in today's episode, one that's close to my heart. Let's begin. I want to begin by first saying thank you for taking the time to be here and
My
joining
pleasure.
me on the Her Notebook podcast.
My pleasure. Hope we
Would
can
you?
help.
You certainly can. Would you tell our listeners a little bit about your background, where you were born, where you were raised, where you studied?
I was born in Brazil, in São Paulo, and I went to school there, and I went to college there, and my first works were at the University of São Paulo.
How did you come to choose nuclear physics as a subject for your studies in the university?
It's just an interest on the process of materials. What happened when you increase the energy in one side or the other, and what products you have, and what benefit you may get from one thing or the other.
I heard that you first had an interest in doing literature, and then there was a professor or a mentor that sort of steered you into physics. The
Correct.
case?
I was, when I was on the high school, it was, in Brazil, there are high school, there are the scientific one and the literature one. I was on the literature branch. And my intention was doing something with languages and applications of that. But I had this professor that was very intelligent, and he wake me up to the science, applications of the science, and that eventually delete all the other interests I had, and I concentrate in studying effects of radiation.
So I want to ask you, coming from South America, how did your culture and the upbringing influence the way you approach science and the world around you, with not many women in science, specifically not in nuclear physics? What gave you courage to pursue this topic anyway?
Well, maybe two things. One is the people from the university that I was in touch with, that some of them used to work in nuclear physics, nothing to have with a bomb. Nuclear physics as a science, how the elements works and what you can benefit from that.
So in nearly a century of life for you, you've witnessed the atom split, humanity land on the moon, and artificial intelligence come to life. Which scientific change do you believe has most transformed humanity, for better or for worse?
When you do nuclear physics, you have to look at the applications. You can do nuclear physics to make a bomb, or you can do nuclear physics to help parents, to in the hospitals, to clear disease. What we should have clear, and I found out in my use, is that nuclear physics not necessarily means anything as doing a bomb. It may have many, many health applications to disease and to improve the life of people.
So
That's the side I took from.
you worked, in a field that shaped the modern world in profound ways. What do you hope future scientists remember about their moral responsibility that comes with discoveries?
Well, generally, scientists have access to equipment and to institutions and to devices that can go one way or the other. It can go to help humanity to improve and increase peace and benefits health to children and adults, or it can go to the other side and buy devices that can destroy everything. It's a free word. You have a choice.
You also a mother and a grandmother. How did becoming a mother and later a grandmother change your understanding of what it means to be a scientist?
I don't think it changed anything on a essence of being a scientist. What it may do is limit the available time you have, because now you have a family and have to take care of that, besides of taking care of our experiments on the lab. But one thing not necessarily has to be against the other and eliminate the other. We can make them cooperate together and make something constructive for different situations.
Interesting. What do you think the younger generations most misunderstand about your generation? And what do you most admire about theirs?
The young generations.
Yeah, what do you think that they most misunderstand about your generation?
Well, maybe they don't understand how we had to solve problems on my generation. The young generation has a high-tech technology at her available. So sometimes what they have to do is to press a button. On my time, we first had to construct the apparatus to press the button because it wouldn't exist there. So the creation of science and improvement on my generation has that component of create new things that I think the new generation find it already and is specializing use new things, not create new things. I think that's the basic difference, but one does not fight the other one. I think they have to put together and work for the best one way or the other.
If you could speak to your 20-year-old self, if you could go back and give that 20-year-old just beginning her studies in a university, what would you tell her about ambition and love and purpose? What advice would you give your younger self if you could speak to her now?
I don't think I would try to change anything my young self did. I think there is room, you have to see that in your life there is room for different things. One thing is a creative work that can contribute to the society in some positive way. I think that should be the basis of what you do and your work, that your work is a contribution to improving the life of people, not to go the other way, which also can be an option if you want. You can work in building a very powerful bombs or things like that, that by no means will improve the life of the average people. So the focus would be do the best with what you have and try always to obtain results that will make society a little better, never worse.
So looking back, is there a moment in time or something or issue or a problem that tested your faith in yourself most? And how did you find strength to continue? Was there a moment where you thought, okay, this is too difficult, it's too much,
Well, that's a question of personality. I would never become afraid of confront big problems if I think those problems will produce results that were good for humanity. Sometimes you're faced with such a big problem that say, forget, never can do this. I would say it's a big problem. Let's see how much of this we can do. So the thing is, have your mind mostly on the positive side of life. I know there is a negative side of life also, and we should be careful with that. But don't concentrate on that. I think if we concentrate on the positive side, on the constructive side, we will give to society something they can make it better for generations. And I think that's what my intent since I was a young physicist trying to improve things on the little way I could do it.
So you left South America at some point and came to the US multiple times, but then you came and you stayed in the United States. What challenges did you face as an immigrant woman in a highly technical field? And how did you transform those challenges into a strength or an opportunity to move forward?
Well, since I was very young, I had a challenge for being a woman because, like it or not, I grew up on a men's word. So I was a kind of an intrude penetrating that world that they say don't belong to you. I just didn't care. I had a name to do things, and I did it the best I can. I had many men scientists helping me and being my friend and understanding that I was there to work with them, not for them, to cooperate and help, and wishing to, to realize some things that would make the world around us a little better.
And then at one point, you transitioned from nuclear physics into medical physics. What made you think about doing that transition? What prompted you to change?
When I was doing nuclear physics at the beginning of my career, medical physics did not exist. There was not so many physicists that want to do medical physics, where you have other kind of studies in biology, way of life, and everything to add to your nuclear physics. When you do nuclear physics only, you live with equipment. When you do medical nuclear physics, you live with equipment and people. And for me, it was much more rewarding seeing that my work could somehow help people to improve their lives. And I think that was one of the things that make me intensify my medical physics work. It is, I didn't work just for me to have a big salary and be a successful physicist. I think the part important of my work is who you want to help. What is the result of your work? Just complicated papers that just people who have mathematical insight can read and is true, or it will be something that is going to belong to people. I make the second choice. I thought my activity in physics or medical physics should be directed to things that would help people. Just a choice.
If you could speak to young immigrants arriving in the US today, perhaps women chasing their own dreams in science or medicine, what wisdom would you want to share with them about resilience and belonging?
About what?
Resilience and belonging.
Well, I think the people that are immigrating to this country, coming in search of something, or else they stay home more comfortable. If they come, is a challenge that they have. Some have the challenges for their own benefit, and some have the challenge to do something that also helps people. So it depends on the particular interest of the person, what they're going to do. Anyway, I think is a contribution because they are trying to clear and make knowledge of things in science that many people don't know in one way or the other, and find ways that will help the humanity in some ways. And even if you don't get what you're aiming at, it's worth aiming and giving the example and let other people proceed your work to achieve what you didn't try and couldn't get it. So I think that's something not very complicated to understand, but give certain different purpose to your life.
That's true. What would you advise the younger generation to do in order to make positive contributions in society and provide these sorts of improvements?
The first thing I would recommend is a high level of education. If you don't educate yourself, you cannot help anyone. you have nothing to give. If you enrich yourself with knowledge, you can contribute to the society and to other people with something that will enrich their lives too. So I think it's very important someone having a profession and being successful in your profession. But I would say the main thing of a profession should be sharing. Sharing knowledge, sharing benefits, so other people, mostly young people, can acquire knowledge to also contribute to society and benefit from the science you aim to make.
So you believe in providing mentorships for the younger generations.
Absolutely. The younger generation don't bloom by itself. Everyone is like a child, need to be oriented and protected. If you don't do that, I think you destroy the society. It has to be a very serious aim on educate, provide a good life in the sense that you live with certain comfort, but also you have reach to knowledge. Physical comfort is very good, but without you acquiring knowledge more and more, it's not useful. So that's what I think should be the aim of things.
After a lifetime in science and research and teaching and nearly a century of living, what do you believe is humanity's most urgent task for the future?
I am a little biased on that. I think the work in science has to improve each time with new techniques, new ways of doing things that will produce good results. And not always is very easy. Sometimes you dedicate several years to one project, and then you see that that's not going to work. And then you have to have the clear to look for something that's going to work. I think mostly medical physics, but all the professions, I think we should work always with the conscience that we want to make the world better in one way or the other. And I don't say that you're going to achieve big things and solve the problems of humanity, but you can slowly contribute to make things better on a scientific way. And the small contributions are everyone, putting them together, I think results in big results for making the life and humanity better. Better in the sense that producing better results, reach more people to the knowledge of the things. When you leave hope that you left behind a little better world than you found it when you came in. I cannot define what is the better word, what it is, but it has to be on the better side. For people, most of all. If we can do that, I think it was a good thing that you existed and had your path through the earth.
Those are good words to live by. I have one final question. After learning, researching, teaching, living, and loving, what do you now believe truly matters most
What truly matters most
in life? Yes.
is being honest. Being honest and always willing to cooperate, to do your cooperation to better, to projects that will, in a way or the other, improve life in the earth. You can go through your life and when you end your life, nobody even noticed you were there because your contribution was zero. I would like that my contribution would be not zero. It doesn't have to be something published on the papers that I did this, I did that. But I would like to leave procedures that people are going to use to make life better in the sense of doing things, sharing things, creating a better world for the next generations. I think that's our responsibility. What we leave for the next generation has to be as good as we have or better. If you can do it better, that will be much, much desirable. You can try and leave a contribution that would be more beneficial for the world, for the society, for the people general.
And on that note, we will close our interview. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Oh, thank you for letting me spread my truth to other people.
And now I want to take a moment to say how deeply grateful I am for this conversation. It wasn't just an interview, it was a privilege. Having the opportunity to sit down with my mom, to listen to her stories, her wisdom, and her reflection after 93 extraordinary years, it's something I will cherish forever. Through her journey as a scientist, a mother, a grandmother, and a woman who crossed continents to build a life guided by curiosity and courage, she's taught me that strength and tenderness can exist side by side. I hope her words today remind you, as they reminded me, that wisdom isn't always something we find in books or lectures, but in quiet resilience and love passed from one generation to the next. Thank you for tuning in.